Today I think I'm going to continue with the project of I'm gonna keep on with the one worksheet, which I think might be in your if Nika is posting it in the description, but if not, it's in the prior descriptions. Nika's coming back from vacation, so I don't know if she's posting all the stuff right now, but it was on. There's a worksheet, and I think the worksheet's the best way to learn the stuff here, Excel, and I'll change from each of the 7 nodal points. So I'll look at this collection of notes, or I'll change this node through all 7 nodal points. That's my project. But I'm currently on the Mixolydian, or I was currently left off on the Dorian, and so I'll continue with the Dorian, and then maybe I don't know what's next, the Ionian, or maybe I'll jump up to the Aeolian, and then we'll move on to another node in the system. So that's what I'm working. I think that's a good way to see it because I can see, then I can practice looking at the different shapes and just changing one node and then being able to view the difference by intervals as well as shape definition. And so that'll help us to kind of switch modally is my idea. Okay, so that's what I'll do. But right now I'll just warm up in the same one and just my standard warm-up collection of notes. See if I can tune real quick and see what we have then. Alright, good enough. Okay, so let's see. So what was I gonna what was I, just for my practice noodle session, let me get my other glasses. Okay, for my practice noodle session, I've been working on the reaching beyond. I've been working more on my fingering than multiple different positions. So I've been working on reaching out past with that, with like that. I've been working on scratch picking. I've been working on this idea of hammer-ons on one note while picking a different note. Like hammer on there while picking the A. And then I've been working on anchoring another finger other than my pointer finger so that I can reach further back and practice what I can reach with another finger. So I'm going to focus on the anchor being somewhere. So maybe I'll kind of maneuver with that. So if my anchor's my ring finger, that allows me to pinky it below it, alternate picking. Or above it. Now, I don't do that as often like down here, because, well, I do, but it's like down here it's a little wonky because, like, you can't get your thumb behind it as much. Like, if I'm here, I can get my thumb behind it, but when I'm down here, like I was noticing that when I reach up, I'm just talking to myself here just so I can, because it's a practice session. I was noticing when I reach up to here, uh, my hand doesn't fit quite as nicely as when I'm reaching up like from this node, or even the top one. This node, because this way my fingers fall right in the middle, and my thumb is behind the guitar. But when I'm down here, you can't really get your thumb in the same relative position, or it would be out in limbo. So when I'm reaching up this way, the fingers still kind of fall right in the middle there, but so I can kind of get like my thumb is like barely on the bottom, which I can kind of do because I'm holding it classically with my on my left leg. So that kind of works. So I should practice down on these strings more, I think, is the... See, when I'm on that bottom string, I also want to do that little... There's no string below it, so I can't do that. But what I normally do, so I can do it above it. I'm going to try to mute the string above it as I focus on the bottom string, so I can still get that little percussion sound. It's when I get back here, it's hard to get my wrist to that same position. See, when I reach up here, my finger, like this is where it doesn't fit quite as much. Because you would think from here, my finger fits right there. So my two fingers right here are perfectly over here. But when I do that same, it's the same shape down here. It's like, it doesn't quite fit. So I almost have to. is the warm up. Let me try a joke, and then we'll start the counting. What do I have on the joke today? Let's see. I don't know. Middle of the road. So I'm back to basically the political theme, where you've got the new media has taken out the old media. It seems like, to some degree, at least in the news area, because no one trusts the old media because they were crazy. But now the new media has gone crazy, and I think it's mainly the people that came from the old media to the new media. They got something to prove, man. They got something to prove. So I think they're more likely to succumb to the pressures of the algorithm, which is driven largely by oil money, I feel like, or something like that's what's happening. And so they're taking strange positions in order to suck in the oil money or something. So they take these middle of the road positions when one person is like on the road and the other person is way off in like the middle of the ocean or something. Because you can't take the middle of the road when one side is way off the road. That's what I feel like. Okay. That's the basic premise of my joke. Let me see if okay. You know, it's tempting, really tempting, to play the middle of the road card. They play in the middle of the road card. Sometimes it even makes sense to do that, you know? Like if two people are arguing about what restaurant to go to, it's like, fine, split the difference. Go to the place that gives everyone heartburn. Democracy, that's fine. But that logic only works with both people are somewhere near the road. Like if you're in the middle of the road, you're assuming that both sides of the negotiation are somewhere actually on the road. It's a big road. You've got two people, but they're both on the road. And so you're trying to negotiate things in a civil way. So they got to be somewhere on the road, like on land, you know, like in America, for example, if we apply it to the political situation, because sometimes, and this is becoming a trend, one person is driving on the highway, following every transportation law, using their turn signal, hands on 10 and 2, and the other guy isn't even in the same zip code. He's offshore in the middle of the Pacific, 10,000 meters down, floating next to an angelfish, scribing a manifesto on a waterproof tablet, for crying out loud. And at that point, trying to meet in the middle of the road as if both of those people are actually on the road is not compromise. It's a death wish. Haven't we learned this by playing the middle of the road when one guy is 3 miles beneath sea level is how you end up swerving directly into the afterlife. That's not the play we need to make here. That's what I call the double yellow belly, middle of the road line maneuver, because there's a double yellow in the belly of the road. But if you do that, you're actually trying to be a yellow belly, because the middle of the road isn't really where actually people are, because they're in the ocean. One side's in the ocean and they're not on the road. So we need to stop the double yellow belly, middle of the road line maneuver. Because if you do that, you're acting like you're bravely riding that middle yellow line, but really you're just too scared to admit you've already been pulled off the road entirely. Look, if you're in the ocean, if your car's in the ocean and you're just trying to pretend, you're trying to look cool and say, hey, look, I'm not in the ocean. I'm just in the middle of these two people and I'm going to pretend there's still a road out here. No, that's not the play to make. That's not the play to make. It's what happens when you try to be reasonable in a situation where reason fled the scene hours ago. You know, most Republicans have finally realized that compromising with a socialist on like God-given natural rights is like trying to compromise with a mechanic who says your brakes work fine, but for the greater good, I'm replacing them with feelings. You know, you can't really negotiate some things. You can't compromise certain things, particularly if someone's game plan is that they put the goalpost in the middle of the ocean. That's not compromise. That's a cult with a clipboard, for crying out. One position is so far off the road of a democratic republic, you shouldn't even be trying to see it out the window as you drive by, let alone roll the window down and be like, hey, maybe we could work something out. No, it's like no, you're on the freeway. They're deep sea diving with squid. You know, you keep your eyes on the road. Don't even pay attention to the squid people way out in the distance. You know, this isn't a Venn diagram. This is a missing persons report. But the tragic part, now popular commentators on the right are making the same mistake they used to make with the crazy communist, leftist, socialist positions, falling for extremist podcast grifters because the numbers look good. You know, they're like, oh, wow, he's got 1 million views. Oh, so did the guy who tried to marry ChatGTP. Not everything viral is roadmap. These commentators hear the crazy and go, well, maybe there's something to it, you know? Maybe that can help my numbers out. No, there is nothing to it. That man is broadcasting from a metaphorical pressure trench and getting propped up by people you don't want to be propped up by. It's sad, it's dangerous, and it's time as a nation to stop doing the double yellow, middle of the road line maneuver. You stay on the right of the road's double yellow line. You don't become the double yellow belly. There's a difference. The double yellows are there to help you to be on one side of it. You don't become the double yellow belly. That's how driving works. Sometimes you don't meet in the middle. Sometimes you stay in your lane and let the submarine people argue with the sharks down in the depths where they can't even see. Good luck to them. I'm staying on the road. Okay, I wrote a song about it. Let me see what we have here.
You know it's tempting, yeah, it's tempting, just to play that middle line. Sometimes keeping peace feels easy, sometimes compromise feels fine. Two friends fighting about a restaurant, you shrug and say, alright. Split the difference, grab some heartburn, that's democracy tonight. But that only works when both of you are somewhere near the road, on the map, on the land, in America's zip code. 'Cause one's driving down the highway, turn signal shining bright, hands attending to and righteous, doing everything just right. But the other guy is offshore, in the pitch black deep unknown, 10,000 meters down there, scribbling manifestos pressure trench broadcasting. That's the deep sea, don't you dare. It's sad and it's dangerous time to stand up as a nation. Stop the double yellow belly maneuver and the roadside hesitation. Stay to the right of the yellow belly lines. Don't let fear make you bend. 'Cause the middle isn't magic and the road has reached its end. Sometimes you don't meet in the middle. You just stay within your lane. Let the submarine people argue with the sharks beneath the waves again. Yeah, the road is always clearer when you don't become the line. That double yellow belly maneuver leaves you sinking every time.
All right. The double yellow belly line. All right, I'm gonna say. All right, back to it. So we're on the Dorian. Okay, and let's say we go back to the. So I'm on. So now I'm. So I started on this collection of notes, my standard collection, default collection. The top of the string is in this collection of notes around the key of C. And I'm gonna put my other glasses on. We've been working on this node here, the Mixolydian, which is a G. So that would be where if that's here, then this would be position number 1. And then we went through a couple of them, and I ended up on the Dorian. So now I pivot around to make this the Dorian. So now I'm able to visualize this. I'm trying to be able to visualize any note on the fretboard to then see the master shape around it, both in terms of intervals as well as just like numbers of shapes, cage system, or whatever you want to call it. So we ended up at the Dorian, and I added the 5th up here. We've been working on the 5th. So now let's make it the Ionian. So now I'm going to switch this to the Ionian. So I've got the 1, I'm sorry, this is the 3rd, and then this is the 5th, and I'm in the upper quadrant, which I'm defining by the 3rd being up here. So it's this would be a minor chord, a minor triad, but I'd rather call it a 3-note Dorian or a Dorian 2-modal whole step chord because it's a different shape than if that was the Aeolian or the Phrygian. So let's make it the 1. If it's a 1, it would be the Ionian. So what's going to happen if I convert this to the 1? Well, I can see over here that here's the 1 right there. There's the Ionian. So I can visualize it this way. This whole shape, this whole bit is going to shift up here. This is going to be now the 1. So that means it's going to be G major because the G is now the Ionian. So that makes sense. That's going to be here. Or you can visualize it. You can visualize this shape that's on the back here moving down 1 and back. So it would be the same, and you'd end up in the same spot, right? If this whole thing was repeating up this way and all around, right? I can move the whole thing. I could shift the whole thing this way and it would repeat, and then I'd be here, or I can shift this whole thing down and back to the left. All right? And that's all that's happening. So that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna say, okay, so that means this is gonna be the Ionian. So let's go ahead and change the number. So if I change it in my worksheet, if I want the Ionian to be G, then I'm going to say this is just going to be G, which is number 11. If I number 1 through 12 notes, this G would be number 11. That would be the Ionian. So if you have the worksheet, you can check that out. And so there it is. So what happened to my shape? This is the 1. Now this 3rd is off. Why is that off? Because now it's a major 3rd, which is going to be 4 notes away instead of 3 notes away. And the relative 5th is still here. So I've been working on the 5th, so let's just think about where the 5th is in that relative position. So 5 minus 1 is 4. So four modal half steps up from the Ionian is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, nodal point number 5. So that means that the Mixolydian is always the 2nd modal whole step. 2 times 2 is 4th modal half step plus 1 5th scale degree away from the Ionian. It has a distance, as does every second modal whole step, fourth modal half step, fifth scale degree, except the Locrian of 7 notes away from a 12-note perspective. So it's 7 notes away, but that would be clockwise, and we're going counterclockwise because I'm going above it, meaning I'm going down in pitch towards the ceiling directionally. So if it's 7 clockwise, 12 minus 7 would be counterclockwise 5. In other words, there's 5 notes between the strings here going up this way. So that's the triad look here. If I was doing it the inverted chord, whoops, do it this way. Which I could play this way. You could bar it off maybe. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of walk through them a little bit faster. Let's say I started at 5. Let's say I go to 6. Let's say I want to make this node the node number 6, or Aeolian, the minor. What if I want to make it the minor? Well, if it's on Ionian, and I want to make it the minor, where does the minor live? The minor is not in the box house. The minor is outside because it's the major box house. Only the Phrygian minor lives in the box house, and it's in the basement. So Aeolian's like, no, I'm outside. I'm doing my own thing out here. So either Aeolian is behind the box house, 2 frets back from it, top floor, or it's in front of the box house, 2 frets in front of it, above the top floor in the balcony area, right? Or you could say it's below it, right below it, directly below it. And those are going to be, so that's where it's going to be directionally. All right. So that means, well, if this becomes the 6, then where's the box house going to be? The box house is going to be, if that's the 6, it's going to be up here, right? And so if the box house is in the middle and it's on the front of the shape, that would be shape number 2. And if on the back would be shape number 1, right? So let's check that out. So then I need to know if that G is now Aeolian, then I need to know what the Ionian is, so I can name the collection of notes from the perspective of the major. So if I'm going to say the 6 is the G, how far away is the Ionian from it? It's one way you could say it. The other way you could say it is, well, here's the 6 right here. Where's the Ionian? Well, there's an Ionian up here relative to that 6, right? So I could say, well, if I was here relative to that 6, the Ionian would be right there. That's one way you can do it, or by pattern. Or I could say, well, if the G is a 6, how far to the Ionian? 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 1. It's 2 modal half steps up to get back around the circle to the Ionian from an Aeolian. So if I make this node number 6, then it's going to be 2 modal half steps up. And if it's the 6, it's going to be a whole step and then a half step, right? Because it's whole half, whole half. So if that was the 6, then it would be a whole step, 7 and a half step, boom, right there, right? Which is going to be like an A sharp or B flat, I believe. Or I could say, well, if it's the Aeolian and it's 2 modal half steps up, it's going to be the 3rd scale degree up from the Aeolian, and the 3rd scale degree has a distance of 3 notes away. So it's going to be 3 notes away, right there. All right, so that's going to be an A sharp. So an A sharp, if I number the notes from A is 1, A sharp is going to be 2. So I believe I can change my collection of notes to a 2, and that'll give me A sharp or B flat as the Ionian node, right? So now the Ionian node is on 0.6 up here. A sharp or B flat. So okay, so then I can say, okay, well, where am I then? Where am I on my shape? Well, where's the box shape? If I'm here, the box is in front of it because the box is on the top floor. Aeolian's on the top floor, and then the box is 2 frets forward. So if the box is on 2 and 3 strings down from the ceiling, frets down, strings down from the ceiling, that shape is going to be shape number 2, right? And then behind it, if where's the box behind it is below it down here. So you have the box below down here. So if the box, now that box is shifted because of the kink in the tuning, this tectonic plate shifted to the right. But if the box is down here on strings 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down from the ceiling, right? If strings 4 and 5 down from the ceiling have the box and we're leaning forward, that's shape number 1. You can also see the box is right above it. So if the box is above the Aeolian, or if you're on strings 1 and 2 down from the ceiling, then that's going to be shape number 1, right? That's shape number 1. So that means that this Aeolian right here is a G, where if I lean back, I'm in shape number 1. And if I lean forward, it's obviously shape number 2. So that means if I'm in Aeolian on this middle string, the 3rd string down from the ceiling, then the shape I'm in is right between shape number 1 and shape number 2. Shape number 1 you might call the Aeolian shape because it starts on the Aeolian. You might call it an Ionian G shape. Shape number 2 is you might call it a Locrian shape, or more likely an Ionian E shape from a caged system. And then of course, so that's going to be that. So okay, so then where's the third? The third now is back here again, because now I'm back to a minor node. But the 5th, the one we're focused on, is still right above it, because the 5th is the same relative position for all distances from all nodal points except the Locrian. So, but it has a different numerical number from the nodal point, meaning if I'm on nodal point 6 Aeolian and I want to find the 5th scale degree, 5 minus 1 is 4, it's 4 modal half steps up. So 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. So it's nodal point number 3, which is the Phrygian. So that means that the Phrygian is always the 2nd modal whole step times 2, 4th modal half step plus 1, 5th scale degree away from nodal point 6 Aeolian, has a distance, once again, always of 7 notes. That would be clockwise, though. We're going counterclockwise. Therefore, it has 12 minus 7, or 5 notes between the strings, so it's -5 right above it. And we're back to that minor shape. So this shape with just those 3 nodes is the same for all minor. If I make this nodal point Aeolian, Dorian, or Phrygian, I get the same triad. But the triad is in a different shape, which is useful to know. Right? It's not just major and minor. The shape is different. So that's why I would rather name the triad as this is an Aeolian triad versus a Dorian triad versus a Phrygian triad, because then you know where you are with relation to what the heck you're doing in the master shape. Otherwise, it's ambiguous. I'm sick of this ambiguous stuff, man. I'm sick of it. Stop trying to fool me. I want to know exactly what is happening. All right. So that's going to be, there it is. All right. Aura keeps doing this thing where she's reading I'm trying to tell her to read the book, and she just paraphrases it and tries to trick me. And she's an AI. Even the AIs are getting tricky. It's like, just read the freaking text. Don't make me go in there. Don't make me go in there. It drives me crazy. I can't believe, it's the weirdest thing. Read the book. I told you to read the book. Word for word. Sorry, I got carried away. You're an AI. Read the book. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, what was I? Let's go to nodal point number 7, Locrian. nodal point number 7. What if I make this nodal point number 7? What's going to happen? Well, where is the nodal point 7? In relation to the box house, in relation to Ionion's house, it's in the attic. They stuffed 7 in the attic. Locrian's up in the attic. So that means that you can imagine this whole bit, this whole shape is going to shift back here so that the box is right here and we're in the attic of the box. Or you can imagine this box is going to, this tectonic plate will be fixed so it will become a box, right? And then the whole thing will shift up and then like this way, right? And either way, you're going to have this at the top of the box. The box will be right here. And if the box is on the 3rd and 4th string from the top, from the ceiling, then if you're leaning forward, that's shape number 3. If you're leaning backwards, that's shape number 2. All right. But then I have to think about, well, if that's the Locrian, what's the related Ionian? So I can name the shape, the collection of notes from the perspective of the Ionian. Well, if I'm on node number 7, I could go 7 just 1 forward, right? 1 modal half step forward would get me to the Ionian. So, and I know that that should be a half step because it's only a half step from 7 to 1, right? It's always a half step if you don't renumber the system. Locrian to Ionian is always a half step if you don't renumber the system. So I know that. So that means it's going to be a half step away from the G. So it would be G sharp, which is going to be, if I numbered the system, that would be the last note of the 12 numbers. So it would be note number 12 because I didn't start with 0. So it's note number 12. Probably should have started with 0. But I'm not going to get into that argument again. I have my reasons. Okay. So there we have it. So now we have the crazy Locrian. So what happened with the crazy Locrian? With the crazy Locrian, the 3rd is still the same because it's a minor 3rd. It's kind of more like a minor. But now the 5th is wacky. The 5th hasn't been wacky this whole time. What the heck, man? Well, the 5th is wacky because the Locrian's the only one that has a 6-note away 5th. So we'll have to deal with that. But where am I? Which shape am I in now? Well, I said that now there's the box. So if I lean forward, that's going to be shape number 3. Whenever the box is in the middle on strings 3 and 4 from the ceiling, and you're leaning forward, that's box number 3, which you could call the Dorian shape, or you might call it an Ionian D shape from a caged system. If you're leaning back, then if the box is in the middle and you're leaning back, that's going to be shape number 2, which you might call a Locrian shape. If you started on the Locrian, this would be the Locrian shape because you'd start there. But more likely, you're going to call it caged system Ionian E bar chord shape. Boom. All right. So where would be shape number 1, by the way? This is the shape right here. I got too many things highlighted. Shape number 1 would be back here, of course, then. Okay. So now I'm looking at the 5th. So the 5th, from nodal point number 7, if I'm on nodal point numero 7, I also tried to speak Spanish with Ara, and she doesn't let me paraphrase the text. Like, let me talk. I'm trying to learn here. And she keeps cutting me off because I can't speak fast enough. So she doesn't put a word in there. She tries to cut me off. I'm like, dude, I need to think. Let me think a little bit. I'm trying to, pisses me off. Elon needs to do something about this. She's getting out of control. She's getting out of control, man. Got to put some, I don't know. Anyways. Let's say we're going to say this is nodal point number 5. We're going to the 5th. Minus 1 is 4. If I'm on nodal point number 7, then it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 4 modal half step, the 4th. Or nodal point number 4, which is Lydian. So it's back here. Weird, man. Weird. All right. So that's the 5th that does the crazy thing. Why we don't play in Locrian often, because it's crazy. But it's not as bad as you think, actually, because you could kind of avoid the 5th. So, but that fifth makes it da da da. See, if I don't add the fifth, it would just be like a minor. Normal. Normal. But then, crazy. It's just a normal podcaster. We're just a normal podcaster. We came out of the podcast, the mainstream media, and now we're like normal. But then they're like, oh no, they went crazy. They went crazy. And then see, because you didn't reveal the crazy. It's like normal. But then they reveal the crazy. They're like, the crazy. Anyway. All right. Let's go back to the normal collection now. I'm going to go back to making this one a Mixolydian. So let's go to the collection of notes around the key of C, the one I know best, the one that's represented on the top of your screen for reference. I was going to change it all the time, but now I'm thinking, no, the top of the screen is for reference. Back to the collection of notes around the key of C, the one we know best, which is note number 4. So if we're back here then the fifth goes back to its normal position, and the third is a minor third. All right, and this is a Mixolydian. I mean, the third is a major third. What happened there? What the heck, man? Okay. I've got a phantom booger. I think it's a nose hair. Dang it. All right. All right, so let's say we're back here. Now let's add the 7. So if I add the 7, so now I'm back in position number 1. We're pinky on the C back to, so that would be fret 8, 1, Ionian, which is a C, fret 5, 6, Aeolian, which is an A. This usually goes from Aeolian to Aeolian, which I wouldn't recount. It's just a minor scale, 6 to 6. 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so now we're going to say we're on Mixolydian, and we're going to add the 7. So 7 minus 1 is 6. So it's going to be 6 modal half steps up from the Mixolydian. But if I'm going 6 clockwise and there's only 7 steps, I could go counterclockwise 1. So I could go -1. So 5 minus 1 modal half step from the collection of 7 notes would be 4. And if I'm doing a reach up quadrant, that would be out here. So most likely I pick this one up and I drop the 5th because I have the 3rd, which is the main thing I need to give it the flavor. And I don't need the 5th anymore because it's not giving the flavor. I don't need a filler at this point in time. I need more flavor. I need more flavor. All right. Okay. So that means that nodal point number 4 is always 3 modal whole steps times 2, which is 6 modal half steps, plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree away from nodal point number 5, Mixolydian, which has a distance in total 12 note distance of 10 notes away because it's a minor distance, even though the Mixolydian is a major node because it's the Mixolydian. That's what makes it the bluesy thing. But 10 notes away would be the clockwise distance, and we're going above it directionally down in pitch, which is counterclockwise from our circle when we go around the note circle. So if it's 10 clockwise, 12 minus 10 would be -2 counterclockwise. So there should be -2 between the strings. There's 5 notes between 5, 4, 3, 2. That's -2, which has a clockwise of 10 minus 2 or 12 minus 2, which is 10. Makes perfect sense. All right. So that means if I'm here, I could drop that 5 and pick up that 7. Or I can pick up the 5 and the 3rd. All right, what if I change nodal point 5 to nodal point 4? Then I make it a Lydian. What if I make it a Lydian? Well, that means I can see the Lydian right here. There's the box. It would be at the bottom of the box. This whole shape would be shifting to the right, or you can imagine this whole shape shifting down and to the left, right? If you imagine this shape repeating upwards, downwards, right, and left, it just keeps repeating, then I can grab this whole thing and just pull it to the right, right? If you think about it like, right? Or I could grab this whole thing, pull it down, and push it over to the right. That doesn't work perfect when you pull it down, by the way. Why? Because of the kink in the tuning. You have to accommodate the kink in the tuning when you pull it down and then to the right and to the left. But it works perfect if you just pull it right and left. So we could just say I pull this to the right, right? So that means that so the Lydian is from our box analogy for the Ionian house. It's at the bottom of Ionian's house because it's a major mode and it lives with Ionian, but it's not in the penthouse. It's in the bottom, but it's still like facing the ocean. So that's where it's going to be. So it's going to be, the box is going to be up here. Now, if the box is on the 2nd and 3rd strings down from the ceiling, then if we're leaning forward, that's going to be shape number 2 in that shape. So it's going to be shape number 2, right? If we're leaning forward, right? Okay, and then behind it is shape. I'm kind of blanking out here for a second. Let me just let me think about what would be the Ionian. What would be the Ionian? If the G is the Lydian, what note is going to be the Ionian? Well, the Ionian, if that's going to be the Lydian, which is 4, how many modal half steps up is the Ionian? One way I can do it is I can say, well, the Ionian is right at the top of the box, right? So if I make this the 4, it's at the bottom of the box. Right above it will be the Ionian, which will be the D. Okay, if I wanted to count it out, I could say how many modal half steps is it going to be? It's going to be, if I'm on nodal point 5 and I want to get to the Ionian, if I'm on nodal point 4, it's Ionian 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 4 modal half steps up, which would be the 5th scale degree. So I could count it up in modal half steps or scale degrees, meaning if I'm on number 4, if that was 4, it's a whole step to 5, whole step to 6, whole step to 7, half step to 8, right? That's one way I can I can count it up, or I could say, well, if it's 5, it's the 5th, it's going to be 7 notes away. So I can count absolute notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And that's going to get me to this nodal point, which is a D. And if I didn't know that, I can see the octave up here. It's okay, it's a D. Okay, so a D. If I number the notes 1 to 12, what note is a D? It's 6. So I'm going to change my worksheet over here to the collection of notes around D major, which is note 6. And I should be able to say, there it is, D. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to go back on over here and say, okay. So now the D is 1, dude. D is 6, but it has modal point 1 Ionian, because I'm in the collection of notes around the key of D major, and now the node that I'm on, G, is the 4th, the Lydian of that collection of notes, and it's at the bottom of the box as expected. And if we're looking at the back of the box forwards, and the box is on strings 2 and 3 down from the ceiling, this would be shape number 5. I think I got that wrong before. That's what was messing me. That's why my head went blank. 5, that's shape number 5, right? And then if I go behind it, that would be shape number 4. So if the box is on strings 2 and 3 down from the ceiling, and I'm leaning back from it, I'm on shape number 4. Shape number 4, you might call it the Phrygian shape, because that's where it starts if you start it from the top. You might call it, more likely, the C, Ionian C caged shape. And shape number 5, you might call the Mixolydian shape, because it starts on the Mixolydian, or you might call it the Ionian A bar chord shape, if you look at it from that perspective. But if we're trying to make the string that is 3 frets, if we're trying to make the note that is 3 strings down from the ceiling, the Lydian, then we're always going to be between shape number 4 and shape number 5. Okay, makes perfect sense. And that means that I was over here where the 5th was right here, and then I had the 7. So what's the deal with the 7? What's hanging here? Now the 7's going to be shifted out. Why? Because now we're in a major mode. I was in a major mode before, wasn't I? I was in Mixolydian. But Mixolydian has a minor 7 in it. So now I'm going back to the Lydian, which is closer to major, because it has a major 7, 11 notes away, but then it has the crazy augmented 4th, a 6 note away 4th. That's why it's basically as crazy as the Locrian, but again, because it hangs out with Ionian, it's like the cool kids, and they stack the numbers, they stack the stats, so it looks like they have more followers, so they're like normal. You're like, dude, we're totally normal. Look at all the followers we have. That's because you're getting money from like oil people or something. I know it. Okay. Let's go ahead and count it out. So if we're doing the 7, so we're gonna say it's 7. The 7th minus 1 is gonna be 6 modal half steps. So that means 6 modal half steps from Lydian. I could go clockwise 6 modal half steps, but I want to go counterclockwise because it would just be 1. 7 minus 6 is -1. So 4 minus 1 would be 3. So there it is. It gets pushed out here 3 because that should have a distance now of 11 notes away instead of 7, instead of 10 notes away. So that means that the 3rd, the Phrygian, is always it's always 3 modal half steps, which is 3 modal whole steps times 2, which would be 6 modal half steps plus 1 would be 7th scale degree away from nodal point 4 Lydian, and has a distance because it's a major distance and it's not the Mixolydian, so it has the real major distance for the 7th of 11 notes away, but that would be the clockwise distance. I'm going above it, which is down in pitch counterclockwise. Therefore, if it's 11 clockwise, 12 minus 11 is 1 counterclockwise. So -1 is what I'm looking for. Let's count it out. -5, 4, 3, 2, 1. -1 away, baby. All right. Baby. -1 away, baby. So it's a little like normally you don't have the 7 on top. It would be an octave up. So having it up here is kind of clashy because they're only a half step away from each other. There's a nice sounding major. Clashy major 7, an octave down major. You can kind of resolve that to a normal triad maybe. Or I can resolve it up to this one, right? There's the root again. Alright, I'll continue on with that next time. Let me just kind of noodle around for a little bit because my head is, I think I'm done counting until I do my QuickBooks recordings. I'm done counting for like 5 minutes.